Shalom. Call Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash, Bakta Yahweh, Bakta Yahweh Shai, Bahash, Bakta Rakha Kodash, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Shalom and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elder bishops and the elders and the Akim and the Akwat of the hopeful elect. Shalom. I just wanted to go into a quick video entitled, the heathen and 2/3 Israelites are in trouble, or their time is at hand. As we see all of the judgments going forth throughout the earth, and we can see now that the Most High is no more holding his hand, is not, standing by and allowing the wicked to just run amok of things, as they say, right? Because Esau has been able to just, be wicked and sinful, and he's prospered in that wickedness. That's because the Most High had a boundary on him and allowed him to do this for a span of a season, right? Satan was let loose out of prison, out of the bottomless pit, for a season, for a little season, and that's why Esau has been able to thrive. Because what does Satan do? Nothing but wickedness. And then now we're now seeing, with all these judgments going forth with Libya, Morocco, Maui, and all the floods and earthquakes and tornadoes and disasters throughout, and the wildfires throughout, the U.S. and Turkey and everywhere, right? So now we can clearly see that the Most High is moving, and he's no longer standing idly by, and the time has been fulfilled for Satan in this short span since the Renaissance period. So with that, just want to go ahead and start here in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, and we'll start at verse 1. The burden of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite, and that's an Israelite just living in this particular area. And now, why is it the burden of Nineveh? Because even though Nineveh was thriving in wickedness and oppressing the northern kingdom, right? Because Nineveh was the capital city of Assyria, and Assyria did what? They took the northern kingdom into captivity before the Babylonians came and took the southern kingdom into captivity a couple hundred years later. So the burden, the reason why it's a burden is because they have judgment for, although the Most High allow these nations to take the Israelites into captivity, it's because we were being just punished by, chastened for a season by our Heavenly Father for our correction, and not our ultimate destruction, but just for our correction, and at our last end to be built back up in righteousness again, right? And we get delivered. So the burden of Nineveh is the heathen that come up, any enemies that come up against the Israelites. They have the burden of a future judgment that's going to for sure come down upon them while they temporarily enjoy that brief victory over the Israelites, right? So that's the same, because Nineveh that was the capital of Assyria, the Assyrian captivity, and then now Washington is the capital of Babylon the Great, America, and they have the same burden that's coming up for them as well. So verse 2, Yahweh is jealous, and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth. So it's so intense for the revenge that's coming to the heathen. The Most High has said it twice right here. The Lord Yahweh revengeth. The Lord Yahweh revengeth. And is furious. It's a very scary, when you meditate upon that, knowing everything that we see around us is created by who? The Heavenly Father, the spiritual Heavenly Father that created this without hands. And so that power is furious. And so just can imagine the level of destruction that he can bring upon you, right? The Lord Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, will take vengeance on his adversaries. And another name for adversary is Satan. So what is an adversary? An opponent, he that opposes you. So what do the society headed by the so-called white man Esau? He opposes the commandments of the Most High, and that's why they're enemies, and they also have destroyed the apple of his eye, the Israelites. And he reserveth wrath for his enemies. And so the wicked are reserved for the day of judgment and punishment, right? So we'll go to so his enemies in Psalms 83 and verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. And who is that? The Israelites. The Lord's people or is Israel. And consulted against thy hidden ones, because they hide us through the councils, the heathen, all the heathen nations, which is, this is a prophecy for the United Nations. They have taken crafty counsel. Why? Because they're in league together against the Israelites, against the Most High and the Israelites. Because what is the United Nations over there doing that's for the Most High? That's what counsel of the Most High are they pushing? They're pushing their own agenda under Satan. Verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. And that's what happened. That was the prophecy of Jeremiah 17:4, where the Most High said that we shall be discontinued from our heritage, meaning we are going to lose our nationality. And that's why we go by black, Negro, Afro-American, African-American, colored, Mexican, Puerto Rican, which means rich port, Haitian, which means hail, Dominican, um, Jamaican, Brazilian, so forth and so on, right? So that and um, British, we got brothers throughout the four corners of the earth. So that's how we got cut off, and we go by all these different bywords and proverbs. That the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance, and so we didn't remember it until the Most High awakened us back through the hopeful elect. Many are called, few are chosen. That few is the remnant, elect 1/3. Verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They have one mind under Satan. They are confederate against thee. They are confederate against the Most High and his chosen nation under Satan, the heathen nations. And then the ungodly men are going to form a bond and follow the commandment of the king of this earth, of this realm, which is the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Job 9:24. Romans 9:22. What if Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known? See, this is all even when the heathen, they think that they're doing things according to their own will, they just don't know they're in the trick bag, because this is the Most High's will. He just doing that to let them build themselves up so that he can just cut them down, so everyone can see who the true power and how mighty the Most High is. Because everyone think that the beast, the Roman Empire revised, which is America, that's steering NATO and the EU, they think that no one can take down this beast, but the Most High just have a trick for him, and going to show he did that so the entire earth to see who the true power is. Endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. And so the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction at a future day, which is the burden of the Edomites, the so-called white race. That's the most that this is when you read this chapter, it's talking about the Edomites, and the Edomites are who? So-called white race, and all of their confederate nations, as we read in Psalms 83, the United Nations. Okay, let's see. From there, we'll go to Luke chapter 1 and verse 71, I believe. That we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. So, as we've read Psalm 83, the United Nations, they have taken crafty counsel because they hate us, and they hate the Most High. And that King David said, what? Don't I hate them that hate thee? So it's a righteous thing, but Esau has done a great job of brain polluting our people to thinking that it's wrong to hate him for his wickedness, when that's totally untrue and totally opposite from the scriptures. So, verse 72, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers. So did the Most High make a promise to the wicked heathen in the past? To Abraham, the Most High made a promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Israelites, the chosen seed. So this lets you know right here, all throughout the New Testament, you can see that this is not for the heathen, but this is for the Israelites that were lost. To remember his holy covenant, the oath which he swore to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us, that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life. So this is just letting you know that these are the Israelites that's coming back and being blessed and being favored again by the Most High after being chastened for a season. And he's going to save us from our enemies, because we have no representation in the United Nations. And a liar and a deceiver will say America's there, yeah, but we still, when you look at the Constitution of America, we so-called blacks are still written as so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. We're all still 3/5 of a man in their Constitution. So we're the possession of the Americans that are represented at the United Nations. So Ezekiel chapter 30 and verse 3: For the day is near, even the day of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, is near, a cloudy day, it shall be the time of the heathen. So a sunny day, meaning good times, right? When it's cloudy, about to rain and about to pour down. So what's going to pour down? Ultimately, those thermonuclear missiles. It's going to blot out the sun, going to cause the sun to withdraw her shining, and the stars to not shine, and moon to not shine as well. So the time of the heathen is at hand. It's near, and they're in trouble. Nahum chapter 1 verse 6. Who can stand before his indignation? And who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. So that fire is ultimately going into what? Thermonuclear fire. Excuse me. And we know who the Most High has indignation for eternity, and that's the Edomites. Verse 4, Malachi 1 and 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. And that goes into them being taken down when Rome fell around 300 AD. And then they went to the caves and was shut up 1,000 years. Satan was cast and bound in the bottomless pit over there in Europe 1,000 years. And the word pit means a land, and that's expanded on in the book of in the Apocrypha in the second Esdras. I think it's Esdras, where the Most High chosen one pit, and that's Israel, the land that flows with milk and honey. And that's how you know what a pit is a land. So the bottomless pit is going into Europe, so I won't dive too much into that right now. It's a different topic. But they went to the caves and they came back out and they built the desolate places. Again, they went out and colonized the earth again, and greater than they ever did in the ancient Roman times. The new modern Roman times, they have colonized the entire four corners of the earth. In the ancient Roman times, they only knew about the three parts, which were the three corners, which was Africa, Europe, and Asia. And now in these last days, they've came to the Western Hemisphere, and that's the fourth part. That's the fourth corner of the earth, and they've colonized the entire four corners of the earth now. So now they have the true fatness of the earth right now throughout the whole entire earth, the four corners. We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Most High Power Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down. See, they colonized the earth, but now the Most High has endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction, and now he's going to throw them down and show who the true power is. And they shall call them the border of wickedness. See, the Edomites, they're the border of wickedness, because everything that proceeds forth from that border is nothing but wickedness of Satan. And the people against whom the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, hath indignation forever. So his chief indignation is against a particular nation, the Edomites, the so-called white race. and they will not be able to abide his indignation. Verse 6, who can stand before his indignation? We know chiefly the Edomites won't be able to. And who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and that's going into that thermonuclear fire. That's how he tied together. And the rocks are thrown down by him. Verse 7, the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble. And the ultimate day of trouble is you won't be able to buy and sell unless you have a particular device to buy and sell. The ultimate day of temptation and trouble. And he knoweth them that trust in him, and he's going. And in that time, he knows who is doing that, and that's very powerful. And it's terrifying if you've been wicked against the Most High, because he knows who trusts in him, and he knows who has not, and he knows, and he's the king of terrorists, and he's going to destroy. He's going to mightily destroy them that don't fear him, and who has not trusted in him but trusted in man, and chiefly the Edomites that make themselves to be as the Most High, and to trust in him and his wickedness. Right. Everyone that trusted in him, they're now realizing that that particular juice did not protect them from the pestilence that they were saying was going rampant, right? They fell for the okie doke of the serpent. So, okay, from there, we'll get Proverbs 18 and 10. These are just milk scriptures to continuously meditate upon and receive comfort, because the times we're about to enter into is very, going to be very rugged, tough, terrible, and fearful from the Most High. That's going to bring the judgment. But if he knows who trusts in him, he is going to have that border of protection around them through it all. Proverbs 18 and 10. The name of the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. So we awaken to the truth, learn the names of the beautiful, almighty, powerful names of the Most High Power Yahweh, and in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahushai, right? And then and we enter into a spiritual strong tower. And that strong tower, we're going to have our guardian angels protecting us and preserving us through all of the trouble that's about to come down from the Most High until that day of, and all of this is happening to get ready to rescue and save the elect out of this hellhole. Isaiah 26 and verse 20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. That's a room. The Most High have a room reserved for every member of the elect. And shut thy doors about thee. And that's going ultimately into what? The chariots and salvation. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. That with the indignation again. And why would we need to hide and be shut up into a room to be able to be hid and protected from the indignation that's going to overpass the earth? That's the thermonuclear fire. The chariots are going to beam up the elect and enter into their safe haven and their spiritual safe haven, and one of the so-called UFOs, which is the chariots, vehicles of our salvation, aerial vehicles of our salvation, and then we'll be protected in there. Lord willing, we'll have that number, right? The 1/3 elect that would be protected during that indignation that's going to be overflowing throughout America, Babylon the Great, and wherever else throughout the four corners. The Most High rains down that fiery judgment. In Psalm 7 and verse 9. Oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end. And that's what the hopeful elect is doing. We're sighing and crying for the abominations that are done in the midst thereof, because he that increaseth in knowledge increaseth sorrow, because we know righteousness and wickedness now through the commandments of the Most High. And we're tired of being here and seeing the wicked thrive, and we want their wickedness to come to an end. But establish the just. That just goes into laws. So establish those that are rehearsing the righteous acts of the commandments, but first and foremost, having a faith, because the just shall live by their faith. For the righteous power Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, trieth the hearts and reigns. And that word heart means your inner man, your mind. You're not going to try the heart that's in your chest, but your mind and your thoughts. And if you have pure thoughts and if you're sincere and genuine. Verse 10, my defense is of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, which saveth the upright in heart. See, that's the upright in mind. And going to your pure thoughts, spiritual thoughts, which is of the commandments. And then now we'll go to Nahum chapter 1 and verse 8. But with an overrunning flood, he will make an utter end of the place thereof, and that's going to Babylon the Great. They're going to be ultimately overran with the flood, not with water, but a fire this time. And darkness shall pursue his enemies. And darkness goes into, death and destruction. Because our enemies, the Most High's enemies, and they've made themselves an enemy against the Israelites. And it's not a coincidence that so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans go through this hell in America and throughout the four corners, because why? They know, these heathen nations know exactly who we are. We're the lost 12 tribes of Israel. And darkness they have pursued us with darkness, destroying us, and the Most High is going to return that upon their own head. Ezekiel 35 and 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, the Most High Power, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, and that's that darkness, you right, and of the form of dark, because with darkness comes death and bloodshed. So Esau, in this chapter, when you read up in verse 2, Mount Seir, son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. So we know that Mount Seir, that's the mount of Esau, Edom. So this chapter is about Esau, this context. So the Most High said he's going to prepare them for blood. And why is that? It says, and blood shall pursue thee, sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So that blood, so it's saying, since thou hast not hated blood, blood's going to pursue him. That's that karma, that's that boomerang effect, right? And what a man sow, he shall also reap. The Most High is not mocked. So they've pursued Israel, the Edomites, the so-called white man, pursued us endlessly with the sword and shed our blood. So the Most High he has prepared them. So when you prepare something, that takes a period of time, right, to have it prepared. And the Most High has allowed, in that preparation, the Most High has allowed Esau to thrive and just enduring with much long suffering until he brings down that judgment that he has prepared, that blood that he has prepared for Esau, Edom, and also all the heathen that are in confederacy with the Edomites against his chosen nation. From there we'll go to Revelation 14 and 20. And the winepress was trodden without the city. So what's a winepress? You trod down what? You stomp on grapes to make that blood. The blood of the grape, which is the wine. And blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles. Now we know a horse has a nice height on it, right? It's kind of tall. So the bridle's right there by its eyes, right? You have that bridle by the mouth. And so it's talking about blood. It's going to go up that high, up to the horse's bridle right there by his mouth, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. And that's going to, not literally, but it's going to go literally judgment, but that's how much blood, that's how many people, because blood is in the body, and that's how many people is going to perish, to the equivalent of that amount of blood, chiefly the Edomites. They're going to get stomped out because why? They've pursued Israel with the sword, and they have not hated blood, meaning they loved shedding our blood. And so it's going to happen. It's going to return upon their own head. And that's only righteous, right? Eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. And we're not to do it. We're to sit back, wait patiently, and long suffer the way the Most High has long suffered, right? And we long suffer and wait, endure our chastening for a season until the Most High go ahead and rise up to the prey, send his right arm Yahushua to destroy our enemies. Nahum 1 and 9. What do ye imagine against the Lord Yahweh? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up the second time. And we go into that word second, goes into continuous, like a continuous affliction. It will not continuously occur. It's happening this time, and this is the final time. And this is the seventh captivity that we've gone into underneath the heathen. And 7 means represents completion as well. So that our affliction is completed now. And this is the very last time, and it will never happen again. So Nahum chapter 1 and verse 10. For while they be folding together as thorns, and that word folding means they're interweaved, they're locked together in confederacy. And this is going to our enemies, the heathen, the United Nations. For while they be folding together as thorns, and they are thorn in our side, they're together, locked together, being a thorn in the side of the Israelites. The dogs will lick in our wounds, our afflictions, the poor man and rich man. And while they are drunken as drunkards, why? Because the heathen have drunk the wine of the wrath, have drunken the wine of the fornication of the whore, America, Babylon the Great, and that fourth beast, because America is that whore that sitteth upon that beast, that fourth beast, which is the Roman Empire, which is NATO and the EU. They're on top of America is the head of NATO and EU, which is the ancient Roman landmass and chief areas of the ancient Roman Empire rulership. But now they revised and headed now by the whore. And they had caused all the nations to be drunk now with that false philosophies and fornication to commit wickedness against the Most High and his chosen nation. They shall be devoured as stubble, fully dry. So what is stubble? That's the end result of fire, thermonuclear fire. So we'll get Revelation 11 and verse 10. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them. That's the heathen rejoicing over us, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. Those two prophets going into the northern and the southern kingdom, the Israelites, and chiefly, the prophets from those nations, and the rest of the 1/3 believers of the elect. And from there we'll go to chapter 18. Revelation 18 and 3. For all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And that's saying that all nations should be one people. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and they're all in confederacy against the Israelite, against the Most High and Yahushua, and against their chosen nation. Fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies, because they've destroyed the Israelites, and they've gotten unthinkable riches off of the backs and the sores, the afflictions of the Israelites. In Obadiah chapter 1, going to that stubble, 1 and 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Jacob a flame. I'm going to slack it. And the house of Joseph a flame. So this represents Jacob, and Joseph here represents the northern and southern kingdom. Jacob the southern, and then Joseph, he's the head tribe. Joseph is the head tribe of the northern kingdom. And the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them. That's that stubble. And when you kindle something, you lighten fire and devour them. And we just read about it, the fire devouring them, right? Our enemies. And there should not be any remaining of the house of Esau. So that word any meaning complete, 100%. So 100% of Esau is not going to remain from that fiery destruction. And that's going to go after in the kingdom of heaven, after they serve their captivity 1,000 years, right? And then be kindled at the end of that, and not remain anymore, because in Revelations it says reward into her double for her wicked, for her transgressions. You know, I'm roughly paraphrasing at the end of that, but we've been in captivity for 500 years, 400 to 500 years. So when you double that, that's 1,000. There should not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai hath spoken it. So the Most High has spoken it, and so it will for sure come to pass. And then going down back to Nahum 1:15. Behold upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. And that's going into Yahweh Shai, the Messiah. O Yahweh, that's the Hebrew way to say Judah. Salakia, O Judah, keep thy solemn feasts, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off. So the heathen and wicked, they will never see. The heathen is the heathen nations, right? And then the wicked is the top heathen, the top wicked heathen nation, the Edomites. For the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off. And, you know, of course, also the ungodly 2/3, they're going to be judged, but they won't be utterly cut off forever. They're going to receive that second death and then come back through the loins of the 1/3. Yeah, so, you know, the heathen and the 2/3, you know, they're in trouble because the Most High is now starting to bring forth these judgments, and it's going to be a very bad end coming soon, according to the biblical prophecies that are now coming to pass. So with that being said, I hope this video was edifying. The waters of Rachakwadash for another video. Ba'ashem Yahushai. Till next video, I say, Shalom.